So I've been trying to get this done for a couple weeks and I am just the world's biggest procrastinator. So I am finally getting around to recording the Q&A video. So I guess I should just sort of jump in. Also, sorry if you see me wiping my eyes. My allergies are like trying to kill me right now. Not to be dramatic, but yeah. So, first question is from Sean Verdon, and she asks, how do you say goodbye to your characters when you finish a series? Are you able to turn off their voices? Do they just slowly fade? Do you mourn them? So they sort of show up with a very clear direction of, hey, this is how my story's gonna go. This is how I want it to end. And when I got to the last book in the Chronicles of Izzy, it was very clear to me that that was it. Like, she was done with me, that her story had been told. And as much as I would love to continue on her series, she is just, she's happy. She sort of just went away. So I do miss her though, because it was she was somebody that I lived with inside of my head for so long that now that she's not there, it's kind of like there's a void where she used to be. But her story was finished and now I have other characters just living up there. So more the merrier, right? From Casey Simsarton. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. When are you coming to Amarillo? Actually, I just drove through Amarillo not last year, but the year before. Moving from Washington out here. But as far as coming back there, I don't know, because we're getting ready to move to Germany, so it may be a few years before I make it back to Texas. What is my favorite book series that I've ever read? That's from Megan Benjamin Evans. That's a toughie. I really, really love the Hollow series. I also love Rae Carson. She is just phenomenal. Probably one of my favorite authors of all time. She writes the best fantasy, and it's YA, but it doesn't feel like it's YA. I don't know. Just trying to pick a favorite. That's like trying to pick a favorite ice cream. I just can't do it. Too many. Lisa, the amazing Lisa Lopez, has asked several questions, so I'm going to answer a few of hers. I'm saying a lot, huh? I do that. Also, when I eat food I like, come to find out. That's a new thing. I just did it again. Holy guacamole. Okay. Is it hard to balance family time and writing time? Nah, not really. Lucas, my husband, is really good about helping me when I'm in writing mode, and my daughter's very good about entertaining herself. But I try and write when she's at school and he's at work, or after everybody's gone to bed. That way it doesn't really interfere with anybody but me, so I don't sleep a lot when I'm writing. But aside from that, not really. Have you ever got angry email from a reader for how your book's developed? Spoilers, i.e. Kenan. I really thought that I would after I put out See How She Falls. I braced myself for the backlash because I knew that that's just how the story had to go, and I didn't want the story to go that way. Trust me, if it were up to me, she would have gotten a frou-frou happily ever after, but that's not what Izzy wanted. She had a very clear direction in my head of that it had to be more difficult for her to become who she needed to be. So shockingly, I have not gotten any angry emails. I feel like maybe I'm doing something wrong. Do I miss writing about Izzy? Yes. Yes, I do. Have I ever been to one of the events Maggie writes about, i.e. dragon boat racing, bathtub racing, etc.? Not yet. I do a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of web research for all of Maggie's fun events, and I plan to go to a dragon boat race this spring though, because there's one here in Columbus, Georgia, where I live. So that is going to be a lot of fun. After writing about it now, I really want to go see it. Was it challenging leaving paranormal genre for a contemporary one? No. And I think that because Izzy's world was built within our world, it was a lot easier of a transition than if I had started out in a fantasy world that I built from the ground up and then tried to transition to contemporary, because her life, though there were seers and guardians and this whole layer of paranormal, it wasn't completely outside of our world. It was like a world within our world. So it was kind of easy for me to transition. And I have never written an article for a newspaper before. I was on the yearbook staff in high school, though, so that counts, right? What inspired the Maggie series? Well, I'm part of a writing group called the Dauntless Indies, and we put out an anthology twice a year. And so I was kind of struggling with trying to find stories to write, like short stories to write for that. So I wanted to find something that I could write that would go with that, but also that I would just have fun writing, that I don't want to say isn't so involved, because it is still involved. I still have to do a lot of research and stuff, but I originally wanted her to be an archaeologist, and my husband, who most of you know by this point is kind of the brains behind this operation at some point. He's my idea man. He said, why not make her report on really obscure sporting events? That would be hilarious. So we spent hours sitting around a fire out back just talking about all the ridiculous things that Maggie could report on. And so it just kind of spiraled from there and got the ball rolling. And now I'm having a blast writing her. Julie Engel asks, do I have another series in mind after the Maggie series? I do. It was originally supposed to be called The Alchemy Contingency, the series, but my husband said repeatedly that it sounded like a really bad emo band name, so he refused to let me publish a series called The Alchemy Contingency. After months of him making fun of me, I finally caved, and it's now going to be called The Gilded Nightmare, because alchemy is kind of nightmare-ish. I don't know. The first book is called Emmeline, and it will be coming out either late spring or early summer. It's gonna be different. It's young adult, and it's dystopian, post-apocalyptic, huge departure from what I'm used to writing, and I have to build a whole world for it. So that's gonna be a while. Then she asks, will I ever come back? Yes. Why do I want to leave her for Germany? Because the army sends me to these places. Do I like pickles? I do indeed like pickles. I like bread and butter pickles better than regular pickles. Stephanie Shaw also asked when I was coming to Texas. Not for a while. Julie Engel asked, how are my palette projects going? I craft a lot outside of my writing, and I thought that building signs out of palette wood would be super easy. I was wrong. So very wrong. Palette wood is like made of concrete. Have you ever tried to hammer through that stuff? It's ridiculous. So it became firewood. So the palette projects are a no-go. My favorite cookies are chocolate chip. I know, kind of boring and lame, but I love chocolate chip cookies. What would I do if I became a millionaire? I would travel a lot. I love to travel. I would pick up and I would hike the entire Appalachian Trail. I would hike the John Muir Trail. I would hike all the trails. And then I would go down to Patagonia and hike all of those. Let's see. Did I always want to be an author? That one came from Lisa. No. I didn't. I was an art major in college, and I've always enjoyed writing. I wrote poetry a lot in high school, and I loved doing research papers in college, but I didn't. I sort of just woke up one day with Izzy living in my head, and it was either I commit myself to a psychiatric ward or I get her story out. And so I thought that the safer of the two options was to just write, and I can't seem to stop. It's kind of crazy because you would think that, most people know that they want to write their whole lives, and I just woke up one day and started writing. Have you ever thought of doing your books on audio? I haven't. That's something that I kind of haven't even thought of yet. I may do it someday. It would be so hard for me to hear somebody else read my books. Like, I think that it would take a lot for me to find someone that I really liked, and I couldn't do it myself. Is it hard being an indie author? I think that the hardest part is marketing because I'm terrible at social media and trying to keep up with all of that, and I don't like pimping myself. So I don't want to be like the the person that's like, buy my books, buy my books, buy my books, buy my books. It's just not me. Like, I don't want to do that. So I think that that's the hardest part of it. Like, the writing part is so easy for me. It's like it's fun and I love it and it's easy and it's my favorite thing in the world other than my husband and my kid. So but the marketing and the like trying to make a career of it, like the business side of it, that's hard for me because I'm not organized. Um, Favorite authors to read when I'm not writing. I like a lot of different stuff. It ranges from Penny Reed. I love Penny Reed because she's hilarious. So I like contemporary romance. I like fantasy. I like urban fantasy. The one thing that I really don't like for some reason, and it's not because the books aren't good, because there are amazing, amazing books out there, um, is shifters. For some reason, like werewolves and animals, and I don't know what it is because I've read a bunch and I've enjoyed them, but they just aren't like my go-to if if I just set out to read books because there are some really good ones out there. And I got really into one series. I can't think of it for the life of me right now. And it was about shifters, but I think it's the pack politics and stuff like that that I just don't find very interesting, I guess for me. But I do like dragon shifter books. I know, weird. I really loved the Vampire Academy books. I like a lot of young adult books, and then I also like steamy romances and things like George R. R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire. And it just I like classics. Jane Austen, huge Jane Austen fan. Jane Eyre is one of my favorite books of all time, not by Jane Austen. Um, I I like pretty much everything. I'm pretty easy to please, but I don't really read that much since I started writing. I feel like I write all the time. Anyway, I think that's all the questions. Let me double check. I think I answered them all. Shockingly. Anyway, sorry for the delay on answering all of the questions, but I hope you guys all have a great night, day, whenever you're watching this, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye!